Hello everyone, Coach Carly and Tracey here. We've been just trying for the last half an hour to do a Facebook Live on my Coach Carly page, which failed miserably. So here we are on Carly Carlito. So we wanted to share a post today about boundaries. But first of all, I'd like Tracey to introduce herself to you all.
Hi, my name is Tracey. We've just been on an amazing hike in nature and had the most amazing lunch and chat as well. And a few things that came up was about boundaries. And I want to share a quote with you to start things off, which is, love yourself enough to set boundaries. Your time and energy are precious. You get to choose how you use it. You teach people to treat you by deciding what you will and won't accept. And that quote's by Anna Taylor. And it brought up a lot of conversation today about setting boundaries, not only in your personal life, but in your business life. And it all depends on basically what we were talking about was where you came from, what your values and beliefs are, and how we actually set boundaries, say no and say yes, and still protect ourselves and self-love as well, didn't it?
And so when I posted that quote on my Coach Carly page, I think it was yesterday, and one of my clients posted a comment just saying, how do we set boundaries, Carly? I was like, wow, that's worth more than just a response to a comment. You know, that is worth its whole own blog post on its own. So, and then I was catching up with Tracey anyway today for our hike and a bit of lunch, and we kind of got talking about it, and it was a bit of a theme coming up for both of us really at the moment. So thought we'd make a really good Facebook Live while I'm here, because Tracey is the podcasting queen. even though we've just spent ages trying to get this Facebook Live going on. So. Nothing to do with the 2 beers that we just had.
Nothing to do with the 2 beers. But it was just so funny because just differences in boundaries of what we say yes to and what we say no to as well, because I've always been really clear growing up with values and beliefs and setting boundaries and stopping relationships and moving on from relationships and kind of pushing back relationships and putting them on hold until I feel as though they're in alignment with my integrity and values and beliefs. And it hasn't always been like that, but I set my boundaries from my intuition. If something feels really off, if something feels really misaligned, or if it feels like I can't communicate my way in it or out of it, or to find a mutual bridge, to kind of go, well, I don't agree with you, but I respect you. If I can't find that balance or alignment, that's my boundary. And it's time for me to move away, move on, or go into another season maybe. Maybe it's an indicator sometimes when we set boundaries. Maybe it's kind of a bit of an indicator that we've got a lesson to learn, or we've actually got to take other steps, or sometimes remove people or make different business decisions as well.
Where do you think you've struggled with boundaries in the past, or have you? We've had some fierce conversations today, and Tracey seems like how do I define you? Someone with very, very strong boundaries, which is great.
I think it depends on sometimes your upbringing. It depends on what you hold close to your heart of your values and your beliefs. And it depends on how much integrity. Even growing up with all the challenges of low self-worth and low self-confidence and low self-esteem, I still knew right from wrong. And even if I was in positions and in situations where I knew that was wrong, the feeling, the energy, or physically experiencing what was right or wrong, I knew that was my boundary. That's as far as I'm willing to take this relationship. It's as far as I'm willing to have that conversation. And I've just seen this person or this circumstance in a new light, and I don't want to be any part of it. So I'm going to walk away now and just see what happens. I'm going to distance myself. And that's how I've always kind of lived intuitively. Now, it hasn't always been like that. I've made some really wrong judgments from my intuition as well, where I thought I was living out of integrity by setting boundaries or not having or having conversations that I thought needed to happen, and they actually never needed to happen. It was just my overthinking and then coming out kind of going, I need to have a discussion with you about this. And they weren't even thinking like that. Here's my assumptions. Oh, Siri didn't get that. But it was my assumptions, thinking that person was thinking or feeling like that. And then I've come in and had this hardcore conversation going, I think we need to talk, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, what? Where did that come from?
Yeah. So Don Miguel Ruiz's book, The Four Agreements, one of them is never make assumptions, right? Yeah. So if you're making assumptions about what the other person is thinking or feeling, then that can kind of lead to, you know, judgments in actions, I suppose, from your end. So what would you have done differently in that situation or those situations when you made assumptions?
I would have asked questions. Hey, what I've noticed is that true, or is that just my overthinking?
Yeah.
You know, and really clarify the situations before you kind of come in all gung-ho thinking you know everything. And you can ruin relationships, business relationships, or sometimes you come in and it is what they're thinking, but they just don't want to admit it. I found that as well. They're like, yeah, but I am feeling like that, but we still need to have that clear communication. So even if you're coming into conversations in business or personal where you know from their language that they're thinking like that, and you say, is this true? Is this actually what's happening? And they say, yeah, but, and they're not willing to have that conversation, then that's a boundary you need to set as well. Because if they're not willing to have that conversation, the predicament or the conversation or the clarity that you need to move on or to move forward or to extend that business or personal relationship can't happen because there's no acknowledgement, there's no acceptance. There's no mutual communication. So that's where you have to decide, okay, so I'm going to continue this relationship, or I'm going to pull back from this relationship, or I need to have different language in my relationship, and setting those boundaries and just everything, like we're saying today on our hike, everything comes from your values and your beliefs. And it has to be in alignment and out of integrity. And if it's not serving you, without the selfishness or the self-absorbedness, but if it's not serving you, then why are you here? Just asking yourself your question, well, why am I here? Why am I in this business relationship? Why am I in this personal relationship? And what am I expecting to get out of it? What am I expecting the other person to get out of it? Not that you're in something to get something, but there has to be some kind of mutual value exchange in any
a mutual
kind
energy
of
exchange. You know, like I think one of the key things around why you might want to look at setting a boundary with someone is, you know, if you, like we were talking today about relationships, some relationships feel icky. Icky was the word that you used, wasn't it? And if you've got icky kind of feelings coming up in any kind of relationship that you're having, whether it's an intimate relationship, friends, colleagues, business associates, whatever it might be, if it feels wrong, then it is, you know, and it may feel wrong just for you. It may feel wrong for both of you, it may, you know, but it's worth really tuning into, why does it feel wrong? Like, what is it that I'm in conflict with right now? Is this partnership conflicting with my value system? Is there something out of alignment or out of integrity? Am I doing things out of obligation? Am I saying yes when really I want to say no? I think that's a big one that I see, especially with helper type roles. And, you know, we were talking earlier about how we've had quite a different experience, I suppose, of boundaries and setting boundaries. And my experiences very much come from not having set decent boundaries in the past, because I've very much been the helper role, someone that likes to help people, which has also gone a lot of the time into rescuing people, and then enabling people, right, with their shit behavior, which has then always led me to feel things like resentment and bitterness, and me kind of over delivering and giving too much of myself, whether it's too much of my energy, too much of my time, too much of my money, and all of it kind of draining me. That's been my own fault because I had shit boundaries. And what that came from for me was a lack of self-love. And none of that was obvious at the time. It was very, very subconscious. But over the course of my life, up until really only the last few years, I kept kind of doing things out of obligation, doing things that didn't feel right, not standing up for myself, letting people treat me like shit and speak to me like shit. And it always kind of, hitting me in my solar plexus going, oh, that felt icky, that didn't feel right. And then me toddling off and going and doing something that would busy myself, thinking about what I should say, what I should do, and then never really doing it because the moment had passed. And really for me, what really, really led to good boundaries was improving, like constantly for years, working on improving my sense of self-worth, self-esteem, self-love, which none of that was obvious to me that I should work on, because I have a great life. I've come from a really good family who love me. I've got amazing friends. I've got an amazing life. And none of it was really obvious until I kind of, was stuck in this trap of abusive relationships, people that I let treat me like shit. And I really had to go within and explore, why did I let them do that? And not just personal relationships, friendships as well. Friendships where I wasn't necessarily supported in the way that I was supporting or felt like I was supporting that person. And, there's a great quote that I like to kind of revisit time and time again, which is, we're all living our lives based on a perception of what we think other people think of us, which is, it kind of goes back to the assumption thing, right? So if you're constantly living your life based on that rather than from your own true authenticity and integrity, then like, what a fucking minefield. Yeah. Because then you're always acting based on the perception of what you think other people think of you. Whereas if you just go inward and go, does this feel right? Yes or no? Does this feel icky? Yes or no? Does this feel like, do I want to say yes? Am I saying yes because I want to? Or am I saying yes because I feel like I should? Or because I feel like I'm being coerced into it? Or, really go within and explore, what do you actually really want to do? What do certain decisions and people and actions make you feel like internally? And really go within and explore, if it doesn't feel right, what do I need to do about it? Do you need to have a conversation with that person? Do you need to just cut and run? Sometimes we just need to cut and run with no explanation. If someone asks you, say someone invites you to an event and you just really don't want to go, but you feel like you should go. How many of you, and I used to do this as well, say, oh, I can't go because X, Y, Z. Gotta, I don't know, go on this road trip, or I'm working, or I'm washing my hair, rather than just saying, no, that doesn't feel like a yes for me. No one can argue with that. It doesn't feel like a yes for me is a really great way of saying it. And, rather than just feeling like you have to justify why it's a no. There are always things that we have to do out of obligation, but there are a lot of things that we do out of obligation that we don't actually need to do. And that's the start of setting boundaries, is really tuning into, what am I doing that I actually don't want to do? Everyone's got so many minutes in a day. How many of those minutes in a day are you wasting doing things that you really don't want to do? Because that's all part of boundaries as well.
And I think too, I went through a season of no. Just to be able to sit for 10 seconds, and a lot of people pleasers, especially if you've been through some trauma, you want to people please, right? So the boundaries are a lot less restricted when you're a people pleaser. And I totally get the people pleasing aspect, but when I went through my season of no, I would sit in that moment. If somebody said, do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? I'm going to invite you to this. And I would say, what am I going to get out of it? What is that person or event or circumstance going to get out of it? Does it serve where I'm actually going? Because if I'm invited to, say, an event or a barbecue, where there's going to be a group of people and they're whinging and moaning about the same things, about the same people doing the same thing for the last 10 years, do I want to actually say yes to going to that barbecue and putting myself in those situations when I'm trying to grow and evolve and build better networks, because we're the average of the 5 people we hang around, right? And, you know, if we're hanging around the same people that are whinging and moaning about the same things and the same people and not changing their circumstances, then that's not a friend circle, that's a cage. So when I was going through my season of no, and I went through it for quite a few years, I would take that 10 seconds. I would take that deep breath and I would say, is any of this serving me? Is any of it serving them? Is it going to, you know, be fruitful for me to say yes and do that thing or serve that person or help that person move house or whatever it may be? What am I going to get out of it? What are they going to get out of it? Is it a yes or a no? And like you're just saying, Carly, and we mentioned it heaps today on our hike, you know, if you say no, you don't have to give an explanation. No, I'm sorting my sock drawer. No, I'm washing my hair. You just say no. It just is that's just not a yes for me right now. And you know what?
I've actually said before, no, I don't want to go to that because it sounds boring as fuck. Because that's what I really think.
Yeah. And, you know, we just have to have honesty. And if the person inviting you respects you, they'll go, yeah, it does actually, but I have to go because, like, my parents are making me. Like, whatever it may be. Like, it's okay to say no. And after a while, those people that keep inviting you to the same things that doesn't bring you joy, doesn't bring you life, not having really good conversations that are serving your soul or serving your purpose, and it's just boring, and you're I think the biggest thing, having to shrink yourself to people's conversations of who you were 10 years ago.
Dimming your light so that other people don't see you shine.
Yes.
You know, and for all of those people, because I know a lot of people who follow my stuff are energy practitioners and very well aware of vibration, right? So if you think about you saying yes to something, even though you don't want to go, think about what vibration then you're being by going to that thing that you're like, ugh, you know, while you're getting ready, I really don't want to go to this. And while you're there, you're going, I really don't want to be here. Can't wait until I can bow out kind of thing. What energy are you bringing to the room? And then, you know, if you're around negative Nancy's who are bitching and moaning about other people and you're allowing yourself to be in that vibration, what's that doing to your energy as well? How do you feel then when you leave that? You know, that thing that you spent a day, a few hours, a weekend at because you went because you didn't want to say no or felt like you couldn't say no. How is that then affecting your energy for the rest of the day, for the rest of the week? How is that serving you? How is that contributing to the goals that you have set for yourself? You know, how is that like... We're you know, there's more than enough things to do that float your boat. Don't bother spending your time on the things that don't float your boat, you know.
And it's good with energetics too, because the more you put that energy, the more the universe is going to give you more of that, or more of those situations, or more of those kind of people as well. So you're always going to be repeating this cycle and then wonder why you're on the hamster wheel and, you know, things don't change if things don't change. So then you can't change anything because you keep putting yourself into those situations that aren't serving your soul, aren't bringing you light and joy, and you're not being able to evolve and grow and transform into the beautiful, you know, best version of yourself that you definitely can be. And then you can draw in the abundance, you can draw in the substance, conversations that really click with people, right? And then you surround yourself with all these beautiful people that are supporting you, you're supporting them, you're growing, you're nurturing, you've got joyous moments, you've got things to look forward to, and then you're going to events and you're putting yourself in circumstances that is raising your vibration. And then the universe is going to provide more of that.
Yeah. So just think like, what if you're not sure on what decision to make, really, you know what your gut feeling's saying, right? But ask yourself, what would my best self do? Would my best self go along to this thing that I really don't want to go to? No, it wouldn't. So ask those kind of questions, and then, you know, get brave. Like sometimes the thing that we're scared of doing is the exact thing that we should be doing. And just kind of build up your courage with saying no gradually. And really, and, you know, a good way of saying no is giving yourself space, like you were saying, giving yourself that break. to say no. Not necessarily, you don't have to say yes or no straight away. You can just say, oh, let me check my diary and have a think about it. You know, I'll get back to you on that. You don't need to formulate some extravagant reason as to why you're not going to go, but just give yourself a moment to decide what you actually want to say and how you're going to deliver that. And how you deliver that kind of depends on the audience, doesn't it? Depends on whether they're your partner, family, friends, colleagues, whatever it might be. But the more you do it, the better you get at doing it as well. Like it feels like it's really hard when you haven't done it before, and it just gets easier. So the question that my coaching client asked was, how do we set boundaries? What would your answer be to that?
Be in alignment with your values and your beliefs. Make decisions from your heart and sometimes from your head. Yeah.
Yeah, mine would be definitely work on your self-love, because if you're a yes person, then there's a reason for that. If you're generally a helper type, yes person, rescuer, there's a lot then that needs to shift internally in terms of you loving yourself so much that you don't care if people are going to judge you or not for what your response is. If it's a no, then it's a no, and you're totally fine with it being a no and without giving any explanation for that. So really go within and think, you know what, if I 100% loved and honoured and respected and trusted myself, what would my answer be? And go with that answer.
Absolutely. And it's a great question she asked too.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great question. And revisit it every now and again, because we change, evolve and grow and transform so rapidly, more than what we think, that it's good just to sit in that space, you know, unplug the phone for a day, go for a walk in nature and just kind of go, who am I? What am I doing? What do I love? What do I not love? And align yourself with it.
And also declutter the people, places, situations and things around you that are causing you to feel obligated to say a certain yes or no response. Because, you know, I've spent my whole life decluttering the dead wood out of my life, and the people that are in my life now, I can say, no, I don't want to go to that because it sounds boring as fuck. And I know that they will just laugh and totally accept that decision. They're not going to try and twist my arm and make me go somewhere. Not that anyone can make me go anywhere, you know, but I've got quality people around me. Quality, amazing, awesome, funny people in my life who, pleasure Rachel. Yeah, I think it's a timely post for a lot of people. So yeah, think about what dead wood do you need to get rid of in your life. If you feel obligated to give people a certain response, think about why that is. You know, is it you or is it them or is it both? It's probably both. You know, work on your own self-love, work on decluttering the people that really probably don't give a shit about you as much as you give a shit about them. And yeah, go from there.
Yeah, I call it sifting and sorting themselves.
Yeah.
the audience, your friend circles, your business colleagues, your clients, your partners, your relationships. I call it the sift and sort, right? They'll sift and sort themselves based on your values, beliefs, and your own alignment. And that's okay. If you know, I did see a video not long ago, and it explained, you know, people are in your life for a season, a reason, or a purpose. And as you start, think of it like a missile. When it actually soars up into space, it needs boosters, you know, to propel it up into space, right? And it reaches a certain height, and those boosters drop off so that you can aim higher. They're the people that are only in your life for a certain season to get you there, and they're not going where you are, and that's okay, but they like supporting you to that point. And I like to think of people when they come in and out of your life as well, and even circumstances and events you can consider as well, but mainly people, right? Because people create the circumstances and the events, but they're there for a season, a reason, or a purpose. Not everyone's going to be lifelong friends. So why are they in your life, and why are you in there? And that is totally okay, because they may not be going to the heights that you are going to, but that's okay, because they served a purpose and a lesson to help you reach where you're going to, and then they're going to get a lesson to help them reach where they're going to as well.
Very good. So be your own fucking rocket, guys.
Yeah. Boom.
Boom. Hope this post was helpful. Tracey, where can people find you?
You can find me on Facebook or TraceyLeeCook.com. And if you're thinking about getting into podcasting and you've got those messages of impact and you found your voice and you want to really share that with the world,
she's your woman.
Are yours. Hook me up.
All right, guys. Much love as always. If you want to talk more about this, feel free to drop me a message. We will catch up with you soon. Lots of love. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Bye for now.